Okay, so this is the first time that I'm doing this. That is trying to film myself while I'm reading this book called A Little Life. I've heard a lot about it. I've heard people say read the trigger warnings before you go in and read this book, and so many things. And I usually don't read like very long books, and I don't have the physical copy. I have the ebook that I'm reading on my iPad, and the ebook literally it shows 872 pages. I think the longest books that I've read are nearly to 500 pages, and I'm not the kind of girl who thinks, okay, enough for today, let me read it tomorrow. It's like if I like it, I just want to finish it. I don't want to keep it holding. There are exceptions. There are some books that I had to put it away and then read it later because it was kind of heavy for me, like The Silent Patient. It's like when I used to read that during the night, I used to be like, nope, I can't read this and go to sleep because this is going to be in my head like for a long time. I am 16 pages in. After starting to read, I was like, why not just record myself and try to maybe do some updates or something. So I am listening to the audiobook and skimming through the ebook. Let's see what happens. Stay tuned. I finished like 100 pages now. Last chapter was too much to take. So much more into the characters, their backgrounds, their families, their emotions, their personalities and everything. It was basically character building, which was way too long. I felt, personal opinion, which could have been shorter, but again I think maybe this is required for understanding the whole book. Yeah, so let me go get food and then we will continue with The Postman. So I'm 125 pages in. I have been, I don't know, numb till now. Also, this book is in third person. Okay, it's like there is a narrator who's narrating, and it's some. I mean, for me, sometimes it gets difficult to figure out when they say, okay, he did this, he did that during the first part of it. I get confused. Are we talking about William here, Malcolm here, or JB here? Who's it? So there was that confusion that was happening in the initial 100 pages. Not always. I mean, I could figure it out later, but then that's what was happening. I usually do not go for third person written books because I feel like I am not into the character's head properly, because somebody else is saying that this is what he or she is feeling, this is what they're feeling, this is what. Because clearly in the second part, we don't know what is happening to Jude. Author itself is like, he did not want to say so, or he just kept quiet, he did not know how to answer or something. If it were written in Jude's perspective, we would know why he wasn't answering or why he was so uncomfortable. But right now, you're just as clueless and you're like, this guy has got some issues and we have no idea about it, and it's just this girl Anna, she knows things and she is not telling it. She's like, you're so strong. She starts crying because she knows stuff and we don't know stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, and I think the only third person book, the other book that I've read is Normal People. When I was reading Normal People for the first time, I was so pissed. I got so annoyed, first for the writing style, second for the miscommunications that they had, and it was a very irritable emotion that I was having while reading that book. And I saw different reviews And I picked that book after a year or so, and then I read it again, and that's when I understood that I was not mature enough maybe to understand, or maybe because of the third person thing that I got very annoyed that I couldn't get past that and actually understand what the author is trying to say, or understand the characters well. So that is the only book that gave me hope that there is potential. If I'm being honest, there is potential. So I picked this up and I am reading, and there is potential, to be honest, of course. But yeah, this Jude guy is just like, I don't know, something is up with him, but we're just not knowing. That I've read, there's something about Dr. Trailer, we don't know who he is. Yeah, apparently Jude has spoken, and then Anna says good job and she starts crying, and I'm like, what has happened? I need to know the story in order to feel connected, in order to understand what's happening. Okay, yeah, some bad shit has happened. Yeah, like I get it, but I'm not able to get it. I think we'll have to read further. So let's see, and I will give you guys an update soon. It's 8:50 now. I think the thoughts are same. Jude has some big trauma that we are not aware of, and he is doing all sorts of harm that he can do to himself. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's just read. It is the next day. It is 7:10 in the morning right now, and yesterday I couldn't read much. I just finished the first chapter of the second part, that is The Postman. It was very sad for me. Like yesterday I was like, what the hell? I mean, I didn't cry, but I was very scared. I was like, poor boy, he was so young and he had to go through so much. Let's see what happens. I will start reading further now, and I'll give you guys an update. Maybe I'll take a break after I finish the second part, go freshen up, and then yeah, continue reading for the whole day. Let's see how far we get today. I'm so confused here. It is the second chapter of the second part, and I'm like, I could figure out that it is Harold speaking, but he says him, you, and I think the you is Jude, and him is William, the three boys. I'm very confused. Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's like it was in third person all this time, and then now suddenly it is in first person. So we had to figure out who the character is suddenly. That is, it was Harold. What is this writing style? I have no idea. I don't know, I'm just seeing all the thoughts that pop into my head while reading the book. So hope this isn't the worst vlog you've ever seen. I made breakfast. I made a little sandwich and chocolate milk. So I finished part 2 of Real Life, and from what I've read, I had a lot of confusing thoughts. That is, I thought Harold might turn out to be a bad one or something, but then he was so sweet. And Jude is struggling. He is trying to change himself, and he is not trying to hurt himself. And yeah, I think Jude is trying his best. And William has been such a beautiful friend for Jude, and I feel very good about their friendship, and I feel like they both are going to get together. So we'll see how that goes. This is my guess. I think we'll start with the third part, that is Vanities.
Liking to JB, and eventually Jude, and then Willem, and finally, reluctantly, Malcolm. Now, 15 years after the four of them had graduated, two of the lesbians had coupled up and were living in Brooklyn. Of the four of them, two had called. Edie's in town. Edie was the third of the lesbians trio, a beefy, emotional. Edie, I'm so sorry. He remembered from college that Edie was tricky. Little onto her new shoes, but big things, the death of her sister, her screaming, snowball-throwing breakup with her girlfriend, which had taken place.
Part 3 is done. I even took a nap because I was very tired. I feel like it is very, I don't know, difficult to keep going because there is no plot as such, if you see it, because it is all completely character driven. So there are so many incidents and details that are being told that actually adds on to the personality of that character. So sometimes you might get lost reading so much of details. But one more thing that I like about the book is no matter how much I feel like this, I kept continuing. For example, I'm just reading and I'm like, okay, these are a lot of details, what is happening, like that. And then immediately the next part of what I'm reading will bring me back to the pace of reading. It'll be like, okay, let me go on. Like there is that perfect mix of it. And so far I am liking this experience of reading it. They have a beautiful friendship. It is so nice to know what each of them are going through and how each of them respond, and how normal it is to have those feelings and feel those emotions. The things that we think but don't say out loud because it sounds so wrong, but the fact that they have put it down here, it makes it so real and raw. Let's continue with part 4, and that is the axiom of equality.
His hands, brings his knees to his chest and back down again, moves his shoulders back and forward, turns his neck from left to right. There is something sticky on the back of his neck, but when movement is a punishment, and finds his phone in his bag. He dials Willem's number and waits. She wish you were here. But instead he says, sorry, I just have a headache. I'm fine. Okay, says Willem. Okay. And then, 5 more weeks. 5 more. As at the morning management committee meeting, and everyone laughs. He forces a smile. The other senior part.
I just finished with part 4 of A Little Life. I'm literally speechless. It was too much. I literally had a heavy heart while reading the words. I seriously have nothing to say. I got to know more and more and more about Jude's past. I did not cry. I was too stunned to speak. I had nothing to say. I was literally mute. The only thing that I was doing was just keep on reading, because I don't seriously now also, if you ask me to give my thoughts on this part of the book, I literally have nothing to say. There are so much details, graphic content. It's just too much, and I thought I could take too much, but this is very heavy. I don't think people can just pick up this book and read normally. They should definitely go through trigger warnings and everything before taking up this book. I don't know what is more left for me to read. There is part 5, part 6 and part 7. I have to read part 5 now. I am almost 59% done. I will finish it today because I cannot go to sleep or do normal things after what I have just read. I feel like I just have to keep reading. It was seriously, even while talking now, it is very heavy. I feel very uneasy. I don't know how to explain. People might think this is all exaggeration over a book, but the way it is written, the way things are described, as a person I would be very afraid to let out some thoughts because I know they are wrong. I know it is not right, but when they put those words on paper and they put it out so transparent and raw for us to read. It is very overwhelming for me. Even the small emotions which feel so wrong for us to even think, that we stop ourselves from articulating, those things are put out in a raw format in this book. It doesn't hurt in the way that I need to cry, scream, and do things. It hurts in a way that I have to just be quiet. The part 5 says the happy years. I don't know how happy it's going to be. So it is 4 in the morning, and I finished part 5 of A Little Life. See, I have started to care more about these characters, and as I said, it is solely character based, this book, and it is not plot based, and I've grown to be okay with it, because I have grown to like these characters so much, and I like Jude. The previous part and this part, we get to see so much about Jude's trauma and his past, what he has gone through, the characters that were mentioned that I was confused before in the beginning of the parts, and I had no clue about what was happening. Everything was clear now, and I can totally understand now why Jude was doing so, or why he's behaving like this, or what was actually happening with him. There, in so many places, there were times when I felt like crying, and I was breathing fast, but I did not cry. It was just more than crying emotion. I got scared. It was very shocking. It was very heavy. I will continue with part 6 later. I really want to read. I'm like, it's just 100 pages. Just go read and finish it off. But I'm like, I need to take some break. So yeah, I think I'll take a break, and I think tomorrow I'll take it slow and not start it immediately in the morning, because then I'll have a whole day to think about it. So yeah, I think I'll start a bit late, have a little slow start, because I'm literally going to sleep at 4:30 now. So yeah. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up to find out that I just got this. I had ordered this, and I got it today, and we are left with part 6. We're going to finish off part 6 with the book and not the ebook. I will record myself reading the part 6, and yeah, so I'm happy that I got the book, and I am happy that I finished this much of the book, and only this much is left. So yeah. Okay. It is 12:45 now, so let's start reading. So I'm going to, as I said, I have been reading this book with the audiobook. So yeah, I'll film myself reading the part 6, that is Dear Comrade, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll play the audiobook, and then let's start. The audiobook, there is some 4 hours left. Since I listened to it in 2x speed, I think we will be done with the book in another 2 hours.
Stockholm, whose girlfriend had just died, and would begun having delusions that when he played certain melodies, she would appear beside him. An Italian actress, Fausta, played E, O's deceased girlfriend. The joke of the movie was that while O stared and wept and moaned for his love from Earth, E was having a terrific time in hell, where she could finally stop behaving. Stop looking after her querulous mother and her harassed father. Stop listening to the whining of the clients she tried to help as a lawyer for the indigent. Nothing. He called Willem again. He called JB. Had they called him? Had he heard from them? But JB hadn't. Don't worry, Judy, he said. I'm sure they just went for ice cream or something. Or maybe they all ran off together. Ha, he said. But he knew something was wrong. Okay, I'll call you later, JB. Silence. In the first weeks, he tried to make Lucian remember his own life.
He talked about Rosa Pritchard and about people they knew and cases they used to argue about. But then he realized that the expression he had mistaken in his own stupid hopefulness for thoughtfulness was in reality fear. And so now he discusses even his voice, that droll, croaking roll with which Lucian used to deliver his sentences, each one a statement. The pause he used to leave between them because he had grown so used to people's laughter was what he will be. Only that he will be better, that he will be healthier, that he will be kinder. But because he cannot do so without thinking of Willem, and how, when he at last told this story, he was with someone who had seen they were still too big, he was still too thin. And before I could call out, he had lost his balance and pitched forward onto the bed, where he lay still for a moment. And then he reached down and tore off both. I'm old. Don't do this to an old man. But then, once they agree, it is necessary that you, the cajoler, move into the realm of self-deception, because you can see that it is costing them. You can see how much they don't want to be here every day. I am doing the right thing. To let him do what he wants to do is abhorrent to the laws of nature, to the laws of honorable. I can't. So I tried, of course. I tried and tried. But every month I could feel him receding on your wrist. She'd run over and buried her face in her father's back. I missed that too. In which he was almost smiling, but not quite. Amused, but not ready to show it. I'm serious. Really cook. 6 or 7 dishes I could have in my arsenal. And so he did. Saturday afternoons after he finished work or
Okay, so I'm much better now. But I think there'll be a lot of background noises because my window is making a lot of noises. But yeah, I feel much okay now. It's been, I think, half an hour since I finished the book, and I'm done with my part of crying for the book, and I'm here to give my final thoughts about it. So, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. First points of the book, what I felt were very good, was the friendship that was shown, the friendship between Jude, William, JB, Malcolm, and even Harold. So all these characters were very beautifully shown, and their part was played very well, and it was very nice seeing how there was a very nice character development and everything. I had already seen a lot of reviews, so I was already into reading knowing that it is going to absolutely break my heart, and it will make me cry, but I did not expect that I would cry this much. One more thing that I felt was the author, what she does is, in the initial 200 to 250 pages, she made us know about these personalities. Even though I felt it was a drag, and why are we reading so much of details, it's too much of information, we don't need to know so much about it, or it might be useless later on in the future. But I think she does a clever job by doing this, because we grow on to know more about the characters, and it gives us the amount of time to feel connected to them. And as soon as she knows that the reader might be connected to these characters, that's when she drops in more of intense and deep details about their past traumas and everything, which will absolutely break our heart. And the amount of pain that she has put in this book is off the roofs, like literally. It's like when you encounter the first trauma, or the first incident or the second incident, it breaks your heart. You get a little teary, and it makes you feel like crying, but then you don't cry. But when you see that this particular character is going through multiple incidents and multiple traumas, and there are multiple things happening to him, after the second time you just grow numb to it. You are just shocked, you have a heavy heart, you cannot cry, you're just disturbed. And this book was definitely very disturbing, because it deals with such heavy topics. Like it is literally what they say about this book in the internet. Like, they are not exaggerating. It will absolutely break you, and it is absolutely very deep, very raw, very intense, much of complex I don't know what else. I've been using this word complex emotions because I don't know what else to replace it with, because the amount of emotions that this book has dealt with is like I cannot even start to explain. The things that I felt can be a bit negative is that I could not have gone through this book without the audiobook. I'm for sure that if I would have read just the book without the audiobook, then it would have taken me weeks, because it is, the writing style is very difficult to get through, because at times you might feel irritated and you might feel like, what is happening, what are these past 2-3 pages, I don't even remember what she said, because there's just too much of information and you're like, what is happening. But I highly recommend that you can use the audiobook. One more is that this is the kind of book that does not have good character representation. Like, I would never recommend this book to anyone, because this isn't something that you say, oh okay, I recommend you to read this, because it is not something you recommend to someone, because the amount of pain that this book holds, the amount of details that it has, the amount of graphic content, disturbing scenes it deals with is just too much for a person to handle, and you never know what one goes through in life. So it is very, very wrong of me to recommend this book to someone and knowingly or unknowingly trigger something. So I'm genuinely scared. This book, the character Jude, so even though it says that it is about 4 characters, the main character you could say is Jude, because it again revolves around all these friends and their perspectives and everything that comes with Jude's struggles, and how they respond to Jude's struggles, and how they comfort him, or how they are there for him, how they show their loyalty and everything. Anyone who wants to pick up this book, even after so many reviews and everything lying around the internet, I highly recommend to go through the trigger warnings, because it is what it says it is. Like, literally, like, there is no sugarcoating. If they say that it is too intense, it is too intense. Like, there is no exaggeration. It is. That is what the book says, then it is. And yeah, and if you're someone who does not want to go through the trigger warnings and just jump right into it, just like how I did, then please go ahead and break your heart. This is my first time doing a reading vlog, and these are my final thoughts. Thank you. Bye bye.